So welcome along to another one of my interviews prior to a live session on the Sodality, Spirit of Sodality Facebook page. And I'm delighted to be joined by a good mate of mine who's up in Scotland in Glasgow, and he's doing a set for us on Sunday evening, this coming Sunday evening. It is Peter Norris. Hi, Pete. How are you, mate?
Hi, it's good to be here. I'm not bad at all.
Good, good. What's it like up in Scotland? Are you starting to feel autumnal up there now?
A little bit, yeah. The last couple of days have been a little bit colder.
Yeah,
actually, yeah.
And you've been away. I think you've been up to see your folks as well, haven't you, recently?
Yeah, I was visiting my folks for a few days, and we had some relatives down as well, so that was good.
Excellent.
Yeah.
But for those people who don't know you too well, you're not originally from Scotland, are you?
Well, no, I am originally from Scotland,
okay.
but my
your parents are.
Yeah, my parents are English, and basically, the whole family is kind of English apart from me and my brother, really. And although my sister is Scottish, really, as well. But yeah, she was born in England. But
so you definitely consider yourself a Scotsman then?
Yeah. Scotsman with a little bit of English, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. If I can get away with saying that in Scotland.
Well, at least you got the accent as cover anyway, so you can probably get away with it, I guess.
Yeah.
So, and you're in Glasgow, just outside Glasgow?
Yeah, just in a place called Rutherglen, which is just like a few. I mean, literally that. If I go about 500 yards that direction, I'm in Glasgow. So
in Glasgow, for those who don't know, although it's not the capital, Edinburgh's the capital, it's the largest city in Scotland.
Yeah.
Was it about 1 million people, something like that?
I think 900,000. I think. Yeah.
So it's a fair old size then.
Yeah.
And you like your football, but you don't support any of the Glasgow teams?
No, I don't. I avoid arguments in Glasgow by supporting Dundee United instead. So yeah, it can be quite handy that.
And where does that come from then? The Dundee United connection?
Well, yeah. So basically, they were playing Celtic in the cup final in 1988 when I was 8 years old, and my older brother, basically, who was a Celtic supporter. I think he just chose them. I think he met Roy Aitken at Butlins or something, and just one of those training things or something, and that's how he became a supporter. And he wanted me to support the other team that was playing that day. It just happened to be Dundee United, and my dad said that was a good team to support. They've been in the UEFA Cup final the year before, and they'd beaten Barcelona in that competition and stuff. So and we did take the lead that day in the cup actually, but we lost 2-1. We had a bit of a hoodoo in the Scottish Cup until 1994 when we finally won it against Rangers.
But you stuck with them though.
I did. The local team really for the area we're in was actually Greenock Morton. And my dad did take me and my brother to a Greenock Morton game against Falkirk, and it was in the second tier. Morton were top and Falkirk was second, and Falkirk won 5-1.
Right.
And I think if Morton had won 5-1, maybe we would have decided, Morton's an all right team to support. But them losing 5-1, I think it was I'll stick with what I've got.
But anyway, we're here to talk about music primarily. So a keen guitarist. How long have you been playing guitar?
Well, I'm 41 now, so say it quietly. And
sorry, you said you were born in 1980, so did the maths.
Born in 1980. So I started playing when I was 14, and really my older brother had played guitar for a few years, and I played keyboard a little bit, although not learning anything properly really. But I fancied the guitar, so I started. And I'm sort of self-taught. My brother showed me a few things on the guitar, a few scales and a few chords and cheats, and I've been playing it ever since.
So what about 15, 16 then you were, is that right, when you sort of started playing?
About 14. 14, and then and I played a lot when I started as well. Like I was really keen on learning it, and I was doing music at school, and I had like keyboard as my first instrument and xylophone as my second instrument. And I'm playing Somewhere Over the Rainbow, and the xylophone just didn't appeal to me. And I asked if I could change to guitar for my second instrument. But he said, the teacher said, that's fine, but you have to learn a song quite quickly. So I ended up learning Nights in White Satin.
Oh wow.
By the Moody Blues, mainly because it's got all the basic chords in it. That song, you know, all
Okay.
the basic open chords that you'd
Right.
get.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had to learn it really, really fast, and I did. But I practiced and practiced and practiced. So I've got quite a soft spot for that song.
Yeah.
Because it was the first song I ever learned.
So I'm just thinking, 1994. That's what, a couple of years after the Blur Oasis. But I know you are.
It's
Big...
about a year before the Blur
Oh, was it?
Oasis thing.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
suppose,
that was
yeah, I suppose,
95.
yeah.
Yeah. That was the height of it. Yeah, the
Yeah.
actual
I
country
guess
has
it
roll with
wasn't.
it thing.
So who were your influences at the time then? Because I know that you are a big Blur fan, and we'll
I'm
come
a
on to that.
big Blur fan, and I think one of the other ones, the first time I sort of wanted to be in a band and play guitar was probably listening to Nirvana.
Okay.
That was probably, you know, I remember like after Kurt Cobain died, I remember picking up the guitar and thinking about that and trying to play a sort of Nirvana type song, and the Pixies was a big influence as well. Just you know what Joey Santiago did to the guitar, I was like, I want to do that.
Yeah.
And then my first gig was at the very height of the whole Blur Oasis thing, and Blur played Dunoon in the Seaside tour only 2 days after The Great Escape came out.
Okay.
And I remember just watching Graham Coxon and thinking, right, no, I definitely want to be a guitarist. That's what I want to do. Yeah. And I mean, there was lots of other musical influences. I was always interested in good music. I liked Bowie from quite a young age, and lots of different things like Living Colour, Beastie Boys, lots of bands. But I think they were the first big influences where I was like, right, this is what I want to do.
So Kurt Cobain, Graham Coxon, and Joey Santiago. That's not a bad trio, is it? Really,
Not at all,
guitarists to try and emulate.
Yeah, it's quite a difficult trio to emulate as well.
And you've never stopped since, really, have you? I mean,
no, I've always played. There hasn't been a spell where I've not played, and I've always tried to sort of improve my playing and learn things and stuff over, you know. And I got into like other instruments. Like I'd played the keyboard before the guitar, but never did it properly. Whereas now I can play a little bit of keyboard and melodica when I don't get out of breath.
Yeah.
Got to do the breathing techniques properly for the melodica. Okay. Yeah. And I play bass, but only really I put bass in my songs and it's me playing it. I kind of wish I was a little bit better at the bass.
Yeah.
And you know, the drums on the songs are just, you know, programmed drums.
Yeah.
But that's one instrument I've never really had a proper go at, is the drums, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
So first gig then, what was your first gig that you went to? That you remember?
Yeah. So the first gig was that Blur gig in Dunoon, and that was I mean, they were like my favorite band at the time, and for them to come to Dunoon was something else. You know, they played I think Cleethorpes, which I think was one of the other places they played, maybe, and there was other seaside towns and stuff. It was like a warm up tour for playing the normal venues later in the year, and that was just crazy. I remember that there was TV cameras there for good, like whatever it's called, whatever TVAM was it called?
Yes, it was.
Yeah. You know, there.
Rolling Rat.
Yeah, and you can see me actually on that footage, which sadly I've not found that footage on YouTube. There is a Scottish TV report of like a news report of Blur coming to Dunoon, and a few friends of mine, a few people I knew are in that. Yeah. Including the guy that got me into the Pixies, actually. Okay. Who gave me my first Pixies album. And it was just amazing. I was blown away. I mean, they were just so good live, and the support act was very weird. The support act was Matt Lucas. You know, doing one of the characters he later did in Little Britain, Sir Bernard Chumley.
Oh, okay,
sort of posh actor type, you know, and he came out and just basically insulted Blur for about 10 minutes, and some people were laughing and some people were booing, so it was just crazy. There was lots of rumors who the support actor was going to be. I think some of which I might have started as well, but right. But yeah, it was quite funny. And then they came out and they did a cover of the Great Escape theme tune. Oh yeah. So that was like the first song I think I ever properly heard live, was the Great Escape theme tune. So
Dunoon, from where you were living at the time, then was it a long trek for you to get to that show?
Well, I lived in a little village that was like 12 miles outside Dunoon.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I mean, I went to school in Dunoon and everything. So
Yeah.
yeah, so it wasn't too bad.
Hmm.
And actually, I mean, years later, Damon Albarn wrote a song sort of about the Selfish Giant, which is a kind of walking down Argyle Street in Dunoon, seeing the, you know, the Navy base and everything and that kind of thing. And it's kind of cool. He sort of remembers it and thinks fondly of it. And I spoke to Dave from Blur, and he's quite fond of that tour.
Right.
You know, just these tours they did where it wasn't necessarily the big arena ones. You know, it was smaller ones.
But I guess in Scotland, it's, if you really want to see a lot of shows, it's either Glasgow or Edinburgh. I mean, really, it's pretty much just Glasgow, isn't it? A lot of the time.
Mainly Glasgow,
Yeah.
Occasionally Edinburgh, and sometimes, if you're lucky, Aberdeen. You get good bands like Scottish bands like the Proclaimers or like Delamitri will play other places like Inverness and Kilmarnock and things as well. But yeah, it's mainly Glasgow. That was a good thing about the Pixies last tour. Actually, they played Glasgow and Edinburgh.
Yeah,
so I got to see them more than once.
But you're more than happy to travel for a gig, aren't you?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely.
I remember the first time I met you. I think you'd spent 9 hours on a coach getting down to London for the Pixies show that we went to at the Roundhouse.
So. Yeah, I'm Scottish, so I like saving money. You know what I mean? So it was only £20 on the bus. So
living up to the stereotype.
yeah, just live up to the stereotype. You know, I saw Pearl Jam in Berlin. That's probably the furthest I've gone.
Oh wow!
For a gig, because I've got I was in a band with my mate, and he's just like a diehard Pearl Jam fan, and so I've gone to a few Pearl Jam gigs in far off places.
So how many bands have you been in then over the years?
Well, really, I mean, I don't know. The main one was Kirsty's Metal Hands. We were going for about 6 years, gigging for about 3 years.
Yeah.
And I've played in a lot of other cover bands and stuff over the years, but I've not really done much original music in a band apart from that band. You know, I've probably played in like a dozen bands, but really that's the only one that was original music where I was, you know, writing the songs and stuff, and you know. And
I suppose that kind of took off, did it, when you moved to Glasgow? Because I guess it's a lot easier there, isn't it, to do pubs and clubs and that.
Yeah, that happened. I met someone via another band, and it sort of developed into this band, and we played all the sort of, like Americans would say, dive bars, you know, around Glasgow and things, and it was really good fun.
But it's a good music scene in Glasgow as well.
Yeah, it is, you know, and like now that I'm just playing solo, you know, like open mic nights and stuff are really good in Glasgow. You know, you can always find something, and they've just started to come back now as well.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. So like one of the places I usually play came back last Tuesday there, so I'm hoping to go this Tuesday.
Excellent. Yeah. And you saw Ash last week, I believe, didn't you?
Yeah. That's what actually I was doing on the Tuesday when I couldn't go to the open mic. We were seeing Ash, and they were absolutely amazing. They was the best Ash gig I've been to. They were in top form.
Because they're a strange band, because they looked as if they were going to be sort of destined for really big things, didn't they? Because they had Girl from Mars and Kung Fu and stuff like that. But after that, it just sort of petered out a little bit for them, didn't it, really?
Yeah, it did. And it's a shame, because, I mean, Free All Angels, another of their albums, is another absolutely fantastic, like 10 out of 10 album, you know, but they never got as big as they could have been. But the fact is they've kept going, and they've still got a sort of diehards section of fans, you know. So.
Yeah. And it was a good show. Good to be back going to live gigs again.
Yeah. I must have been to about 4 or 5 now since in the last month or two. Yeah.
And in terms of your own music, I mean, you've literally written hundreds of songs, haven't you?
Yeah, I actually was, because I'm doing this song of the day thing where I'll play a song live and put it up on YouTube, and I thought, well, I need to be organized with this and make sure I know which songs I've picked. So I made a list of all my songs, and it was 220 songs I've got on Bandcamp. Wow. Which it surprised me, even, to be honest. And you know, I've been putting songs on Bandcamp for about 5 years. So it's only about 8 albums But one of the albums has 90 songs on it. So
Jesus, wow.
Which started off as in one of the groups on Facebook. It was like a song challenge where you would pick a certain subject and you'd pick a song. And I decided to take it and write a song for each sort of subject, and it was going on for another 3 months. So it ended up being about, well, it was 89 songs, and I added one extra song in. Yeah, which is quite good fun, because some of the songs, it was serious things, like a song about, I don't know, love or whatever, and some people had just picked stupid things, like a song about grapes. So I had to like write a song. So there is a song on that album that's about grapes, which was not even about grapes. It's just the lyric is, "This is a song about grapes. I don't know why. I don't know why." It's not one of the more serious songs I've ever written. That's for sure.
That takes away one of my questions. I was going to ask you where you get your inspiration for all your writing and all your songs from.
Well, yeah, for that it was funny, because I didn't have to think too much about what the subject is going to be about. But usually it's just an idea comes into my head. It might even be that I'm playing some chords and I sing something, and the idea comes from what I've just sang, and I'll sort of develop it a bit.
Mm-hmm.
I like to vary it a bit. I don't like all the songs to be lovey-dovey or all the songs to be political or whatever. I like to mix it up a bit.
And do you play guitar every day, would you say?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, and the only time I don't play it really when I go away to my mum and dad's, or I'm away on holiday. That's the only time, which can be good to have a wee break from it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I pretty much play it every day.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe just half an hour some days, but yeah.
And in lockdown, has that sort of changed at all with what you've been doing? I know you've been writing songs and recording songs with some of our other friends, and that, haven't you, off the Pixies and Frank Black Facebook group?
Yeah. Well, we did the cover of the Happening, which was great fun. We were doing that for quite a long time, getting it together, and I think the end result was pretty good.
It was excellent. Yeah.
And when Frank Black himself posted it, that was a good moment. And I've been writing songs during lockdown and recording, and I'm recording stuff at the moment as well. What I'm actually doing is I'm sort of going over older songs, whereas my early albums, it was just me and acoustic guitar, and it was just on my phone and recorded, and the songs were all right, but clearly the level of recording wasn't up to much, so I'm sort of re-recording a lot of them at the moment.
Okay. And back along, I don't know if you're still doing it, but a while ago you were going through the 100 albums to play before you die, or whatever they call it, that kind of thing.
Yeah, so it was 1,001 albums.
Was it 1,000?
1,001, yeah. Okay. And I was doing the one from 2016. So the last album on it was Bowie's last album. Right. Black Star was the last album, and there's probably a more recent one that's been done. And my friend that told me about it, he did it in a year. I think I've been doing it for about 15 months.
Okay.
And I'm getting close to the end now. I've got I think about 100 and something left.
Okay.
And I'd listened to 356 before I started, because you can tick off all the ones you've
already listened
to.
Yeah,
and you don't have to listen to them again. But sometimes some of them are ones you haven't listened to in ages, and you think, I'll give that another listen.
Yeah.
But that's been amazing, and most of the albums I've liked as well. To be honest, I'm surprised. Okay. I thought there'd be loads. I'd be like, oh, this is rubbish. But there's been the odd one. But there's been surprises. Bands I've never heard of, perhaps, or weren't really aware of that much. The Sonics from the 60s were one I really liked, with their album Here Are the Sonics. They're sort of garage rock, like punk before punk happened. So I think that was a brilliant album.
Yeah.
And I'm not a big fan of Bruce Springsteen, I have to say, and he's got about 6 albums on it or something.
Oh, really? Okay.
He's actually all right. I kind of respect the guy, but it's just the music isn't for me. And there was one I was listening to, and I thought, oh, there's only one more song to go now, and then the song was 9 minutes long. I know. It's just, And there's other artists. I think maybe I can't think of an example at the moment, but there has been artists where I've thought I don't like them, and then I've listened to them, and when you sit down and you're listening to the full album, you actually realize this is actually pretty good.
Yeah. So you've been pretty disciplined then. I don't think I'd be that disciplined, to be honest. If I came
Yeah,
across
no,
an
I
artist
have.
that I didn't like, I think, oh no, I'm not going to bother to listen to it.
Well, there's a bit of an anomaly with the list. The guy that does it obviously clearly likes music. There's some varied music. I mean, there is like some Brazilian stuff on there and other stuff, but
Yeah.
you know, it's still fairly, you know, Western. But you know, he didn't put Squeeze on it, which I was a bit annoyed about. I thought there could have been one
Okay.
Squeeze album,
Mhm.
and there's a Kid Rock album on there. Now
Right.
that really, if you're going to test someone's resolve about, yeah, like you say, being disciplined and
Yeah.
listening to every album, so
Yeah.
at some point in the future, I've got to listen to a Kid Rock album from start to finish,
Uh-huh.
and I can't see that one where I'm going to be like, oh, actually, that's all right. I don't think that's going to happen. You know, I mean, the blessing actually is that when I was little, I quite liked Bon Jovi, so I've already listened to the Bon Jovi album that was on the list,
Okay. Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I didn't have to listen to it again because I'm not a
Uh,
fan now.
yeah.
Um, yeah, but when I was like 7, I was.
Yeah. Well, I think probably I mean, they would have been massive then. Though when you were 7,
Yeah,
they were
yeah,
a
like
massive group, then, weren't
Slippery
they?
When Wet was like a
Yeah.
massive album. You know
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
was, you know, and I liked all. At that age, I sort of liked all the hair metal stuff and
Yeah,
things.
because I've
And
got about 12 years on you, I think, in age, and so
yeah,
I would have been at uni then, and a mate of mine was massively into Bon Jovi at the time.
I mean, like the first album I ever bought, or at least you know, given pocket money to buy, was a Heart album,
Okay,
Bad Animals, which is the one with Alone on it. So
right,
that,
okay, yeah,
yeah, so that, then I think that was about 1987 or something like that. Yeah,
right, okay,
yeah.
yeah. I don't think I could stomach a Heart album somehow, but
Well, funny enough, I remember years later I found it in a charity shop for 50p, and just out of sheer nostalgia, I bought it just to see what it sounded like. And yeah, yeah, it wasn't quite. It's still not my cup of tea now.
no, no.
Um, uh,
And so coming up on Sunday, then you're going to do a live set. You've worked out your set already, have you?
yeah, yeah, I've got the songs I'm going to do. I'm going to do a few from my last album and a few really older, much older ones. The sort of a few of the first songs I ever released on Bandcamp, and then yeah, I've got a few from the last album. Like I had quite a lot of. I had the last album and I had a few EPs just before that as well. They came out quite close together, so there'll be a few songs from that.
So how do you decide whether it's going to be an EP or an album then? Is it just what
Well,
you've got going at the time and you just want to get it out there kind of thing? Or
I think, yeah, I think if someone was being really pedantic, they could be like, "Well, there's too many songs on that for an EP," and I've always, because for example, like I one of them, the Sunsets in November EP, I think that's 7 songs, but in the past I've had albums that have had 7 songs on them, so
yeah,
yeah, I don't know, I sort of, but the album that I just released, I was working on for about a year,
yeah,
or at least a lot of the songs were written a year ago. So
mm-hmm.
that felt that was an album, you know. I think it's got about 12 or 13 songs on it. Whereas
Yeah.
these 2 EPs, one of them was almost written in a day, where I just wrote about 5 songs in one day, having written a couple the week before.
Yeah.
I don't know. I had quite an inspired day that day, and actually, it's probably that EP is probably my favorite thing of mine. Actually, yeah.
And do you ever go back and sort of your back catalogue and sort of re-record stuff on that, or sort of revisit it?
Yeah, that's what I'm doing at the moment. So the next thing I release, which probably won't be for a while, it will be a re-recorded version of my first album.
Yeah.
And then the next few albums, I'm going to be doing the same. So and which has been great fun, because there's been a few I've not played in a long time, and it's nice to hear them get maybe slightly more professional sound to them.
Yeah,
still really lo-fi, but you know, it's better than just being acoustic guitar recorded for a phone, which is what the early stuff was.
And I know that you take your practicing seriously as well, so because I know that Kelly Loney put in a request, didn't she, for this Sunday, and you said no, I haven't had time to practice it, so it's not in the set. So
yeah, sorry, Kelly.
So you do a lot of practicing before you sort of go out live then, obviously.
Yeah, mainly because I'm really bad at remembering lyrics. That's like, that's like a thing. Like I always get the chords down, and I play it. If I can't remember it, I play it once or twice, and I pick it up. But yeah, remembering my own lyrics, I think I think it's easy to remember someone else's lyrics, to be honest, because if it's a song you listen to a lot, I don't listen to my own music very much, you know.
So it was Love Heckles, wasn't it, that she was asking
Yeah,
for?
yeah.
So, but you're not going to play that then. We
No.
can't. And my personal favorite, which I know isn't one of yours, but I do love it when you do "My Lovely Horse" from
My
Father
lovely
Ted.
horse. I like the fact that's on YouTube now, that I finally got around to putting it on YouTube.
Oh, have you? Oh, okay.
Yeah, well, during lockdown, I did a few just spur of the moment performances on Facebook, but I was able to download them and upload them onto YouTube. So
yeah,
and it's at a couple of hundred views actually.
So we ought to get a shout in, or shout in, whatever, for your music. Where can people find your music? You said about Bandcamp earlier.
Yeah, Bandcamp. So if you go peternorris.bandcamp.com, you can stream my music there, or you can download it for whatever price you want, nothing or more. And I'm on YouTube as well, which is youtube.com/Hooble. That's HOOBOOL, which is a word that I made up because I couldn't find a URL that hadn't already been taken when I started my YouTube account. But those are the main two places, and you'll find me on Facebook as well, like my page on Facebook, which has a link to all the, I'm posting things on that, and Instagram as well. I mean, Twitter don't bother with. I mean, I'm on there, but but Instagram, I do post videos and stuff on Instagram as well. So.
Excellent. Brilliant. Well, we're really looking forward to Sunday night. So what time are you going to be on for everyone?
7 p.m.
7 p.m. and that's UK time.
Yeah. UK time.
Brilliant. Okay. Well, I will certainly be there, and I'll look forward to it. And I'm sure that plenty of other people are going to be there. The last time I looked, there's over 20 people that have confirmed to be there as well, and quite a few other maybes as well. So you should have a good audience, and we'll all be looking forward to it. So. Great to see you again, mate. It's lovely to spend time with you again, and hopefully it won't be too long before we can get to see each other properly and go to another gig as well. So.
Oh, definitely. I can't wait till we can get back doing a gig. That'll be great.
Absolutely. Okay, we'll see you on Sunday night, buddy, and thank you very much for your time.
Thanks very much, Andrew.
Okay, cheers. See you soon.
Bye now.
Bye.